Hey everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and today we're going to be talking about making characters from scratch. How do you make up characters? Yes, indeed. And we're going to be talking about making up characters for the Pulp Alley tabletop adventure game. I started into this hobby decades ago with games like Dungeons and Dragons, and then RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu. So, more of this hobby I got started into was via role playing games. And I think one of the big things we enjoyed about role playing games, as compared to when we got into skirmish games, is that you can actually create your own characters. And then as you get into wargaming and you get into skirmish games and so on, you kind of lose that option. It's pretty much removed. Um, and I think there was a point, and I'm not going to name the game, but I would have to say it was sometime in the 90s when I was looking at a game that I bought, and it just kind of struck me all of a sudden. I was looking through it, and I was thinking, well, I want to make a sheriff league. It was an Old West game, and I wanted to make a league with a sheriff and this and that and the other thing. And I went through there and I found, okay, well, here's the character profile for a sheriff, and I'm looking at it and I go, well, there's only one. So in all of the West, if you run into a sheriff somewhere, this is what they look like. And look, here's their deputy. And it just struck me as like really boring and short-sighted, the idea, like, why does my character have to be this cookie cutter template? And if you think about it, that goes into so many of the most popular skirmish games and war games that are available out there, that your ability to actually create your own character is gone. You just take what we give you and be happy. There you go. And if it's screwed up, well, maybe we'll try and fix it, but we'll charge you for that book as well. In Pulp Alley, you could actually make your own characters. That was one of the things that we wanted to be able to do. We said, if we're going to make our own game and we're going to be end up making a bunch of characters, well, why don't we make it available for players to be able to make their own characters? And you know what? It's hard. It's hard creating a good balanced system that doesn't make it very obvious that, okay, well, this is the league to play and it beats everything else. So that's why it took us years of development and playtesting and, rewriting and replay testing until we were really, really happy with where we were. Even then, there was one ability that we ended up changing when we went into second edition, just because people felt that maybe it was a little too beefy in multiplayer games. In one-on-one games, it really wasn't that big a deal. But if you went into multiplayer games, the old veteran, the old version of veteran was a pretty good ability. Kind of a no-brainer to take if you were going up against 4 or 5 different players. But anyway, it was important to us. So when you play Pulp Alley, of course you can play our pre-generated characters, right? Yeah, we got them. If you want to sit down and you have a bunch of characters and you just want to go through and pick out some stuff for them really quick, well, you could do that. We have a characters core deck right there, and it is jam-packed with pre-made characters that you could just pull out of here and go, well, I need a guy that looks like this. Okay, and I need a guy that looks like this. Okay, and that's it. And that is exactly what we did when we made our leader and the sidekick for the Roman League that we've been using over the last few games. Have you guys know that? So here is the leader and the sidekick that we've been using for our Romans. And look. Marsalis, there is the card that we have been using for Marsalis straight out of the core characters deck. No changes at all. The sidekick is also right there. It's pre-made. Now, Are they exactly what I wanted them to be? Probably not. I took the easy way out there and just said, you know what? I'm just going to use the cards out of the deck and go. Sometimes that's cool because it makes me use something that I might not have picked otherwise. So, and that's actually true about those two character cards. But when I got to my Legionnaires, I was looking at them and I went through the cards and I thought, you know what? None of these feel exactly right. None of these feel like what I want them to be. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to make up my own character. And remember this, everybody. The back of these cards, are blank. Every one of them is blank on the back. So you have a pre-made side, and then you have a blank side. So you have, when you get the core characters deck of 50 some odd cards there, let's see, what's it say? 50 cards. You have 50 pre-made characters plus 50 blanks. So you can make any level whatever you want them to be. And that's pretty awesome because and apparently there's a bonus card in there. Is that actually in there? If anybody's ever got that deck, let me know. Let me know if that card was in there. I don't know. Maybe that was something I just slipped in. Hey, if you're not already, get subscribed to our little channel. Make sure right now while I'm asking you, and be sure and hit that like button for us and the bell, because that's a big help. All right, now, making a level 2 character, because I was looking at these Romans and I thought to myself, you know what? I went through the stack and I said, well, these are good and I could just pick something out, but I want to do something different. So I decided I would just go ahead and make up my own characters, and that's what I did. So starting with a blank character, so we're going to just quickly make a Legionnaire, and this is going to be pretty quick and easy. So level 2 characters are pretty darn easy to make, and if you want to follow along, you can turn to page 9 in the rule book, and it tells you right there, or 10, page 10, tells you right there how to make a level 2 character. So what we're going to do, it requires 2 slots. It has a health of D6, so we know that's already on the character card there. So it has the health of D6 there, so I don't have to change that or add anything to it. As far as the skill dice, 2 of his skills get to start with 2 dice, and the other 4 skills get to start with 1 dice. So I think that's a no-brainer, really. You could think that through and you could do all kinds of stuff if you wanted to. But looking at my Legionnaires, looking at the folks that I'm making, I think it's going to be all about the offense. So I'm going to start them off with 2 dice in Brawl and 2 dice in Shoot, and that means just by default, everything else is 1 dice. Now, we also know that because they're level 2 characters, I'll put the level up here, because we know they're level 2 characters, that means all of their dice are going to be D6s. So I can put that in, D6s. Now, as a level 2 character, they only get to pick 1 ability. So when you're picking your abilities, go into the book there, and you can pick, for a level 2 character, you can pick any of the level 1 abilities, and you can pick any of the level 2 abilities. And there's a lot of really good ones here. For these guys, what I was thinking was I wanted to give them a hindrance. So that's what I went with for their 1 ability. Hindrance, I get to select 2 level 1 abilities at no additional cost. And then I have to select 2 of my skills to be hindered. Hindrance is incompatible with abilities, blah, blah, that do blah, blah. Okay, so first I'm going to take hindrance. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to hinder I have to hinder 2 of them, and I'm going to hinder my finesse, and I'm going to hinder my cunning. Now, my thinking there is that, these legionnaires are very used to taking orders, and they're very used to, following the commands that they're given. So they these are long legionnaires that have been in the service for a while, and when they're left on their own, they just their cunning and their finesse just isn't quite up to snuff. They kind of look around for somebody to tell them what to do. That's what I'm going with. That's why I'm explaining it that way. But what that advantage of that is that I now get to pick two level 1 abilities. And the two level 1 abilities that I'm going to pick are, as I go in back into the book, I can pick out two level 1 abilities. And what I'm going to do, the first one I'm going to pick out is armored, because I want them to be armored. And then the next one is going to be fierce, because they are brawly. So that's what they've been taught to do. And that's what we're going to go with. So the two abilities that they're going to add on there are armored. Oh, come on, right. Armored and fierce. So because I picked fierce, that's going to give me another +1 to my brawl skill. So now my brawl is up to 3 die 6. My shoot is at 2 die 6. My finesse and cunning are hindered. I am armored. What that does is it lets me roll that extra dice whenever I have to roll those health checks. And then I am fierce, and that gives me that extra dice on my brawl. And, folks, there's just like so many different ways that you could do this. And that's one of the big reasons why we want you to be able to create your own characters. I think it's really, really egotistical of a game designer to think, well, I'm going to make up the werewolf, and you're stuck with the werewolf that I make up. And it just seems so short-sighted and really egotistical. Like, why can't I make up my own werewolf? Why can't I make up my own zombies? And you can in Pulp Alley. Werewolves are not just one person's vision. There's a wide variety of werewolves out there, in folklore and movies and adventures and things like that. So you get to decide what your characters do. If you made up these characters, would you make them armored? Maybe not. Maybe you would pick something else that you wanted them to have. I think it fits those characters, but that doesn't mean that you have to play Roman legionnaires exactly the way I make them. I want you to make your own legionnaires. But if you not have the time, then we have cards that you can use too. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have questions about how to create characters, if you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. While you're at it, make sure you're a subscriber to our little channel. Hit the like button and the bell, and we're going to see you very, very soon. Bye, everybody.